Welcome to the Vantage Fit Corporate Wellness Podcast. This podcast is sponsored by Vantage Fit, the all-in-one AI-powered corporate wellness platform developed by Vantage Circle.
Eating healthy, exercising, and having a great sleep routine is very important for our physical health. True. But when it comes to emotional health, things can get a little complicated, but it is just as important as attaining a good physical health. And in fact, emotional health influences our physical health. If we are not emotionally well, then our physical health also gets compromised. So let us talk more about emotional wellness in today's episode of Vantage Fit Corporate Wellness Podcast. Today we have with us Moumita Paul. Welcome to the show, Moumita.
Thank you, Dipshi. Thanks. I'm really grateful that I got this opportunity to speak on the Vantage Fit podcast. So thanks a lot for that.
We are very glad to have you here as well. So let us begin with our first question. So tell us about your journey in the field of wellness.
Sure. So that was an interesting journey, actually. I always had interest in psychology, but I worked mostly in the corporates, in companies like Amazon and Disney. I never thought I would be in this. So I'm a self-discovery coach, and I help people build emotional resilience and discover their true selves. So in 2020, I remember while my career trajectory was going like really skyrocketing, my emotional health was taking a nosedive. I went into depression at that time, and it took me a lot of therapy and medicines to get out of it. And then I had a revelation in 2020 when I realized that I can't be the only person who's going through that. Mm-hmm. So that is when I started spending a lot of time in finding the right ways to not only get out of anxiety, depression, and maintain a good emotional state, but also how to be happy in general, like have a more emotional calmness in me. So last year I did a lot of work on myself for self-development, and I formulated some techniques which anybody can use to get back their peace of mind. And that's when I decided that maybe this is not something I should keep just within myself. I should share it with others also. And that's when I decided and started this journey of being a self-discovery coach. So yeah, that's how it started.
That's a very inspiring journey, Moumita.
Yeah.
So when you talk about emotional resilience, right? So that is like obviously related to emotional wellness, right?
Yeah. So how I define emotional wellness is emotional resilience, meaning the ability to stay calm even in difficult circumstances or when things are not going as per your plan. And I also mean emotional resilience as the ability to bounce back from an upsetting situation. Like even when you feel upset, how long do you take to bounce back? So these are the two simple definitions that I have in terms of measuring your emotional wellness. And I'll go in depth much later. But yeah.
So like when we talk about emotional wellness, is it more or less like mental health as well? Like, is mental wellness and emotional wellness the same thing?
So most people associate it to be the same thing because eventually our head is not separate from the heart; it's connected, right? So it's mental health is not very separate from physical health, and neither is emotional wellness separate from the overall wellness. If you're not doing physically well, you'll start feeling bad soon, which will affect your emotional wellness. If you're not doing mentally well, your body will follow the suit. So they are interrelated, they are interconnected. So these days, yes, mental health is more related to emotional wellness, but how I see mental health is your mind's ability to function the way it's supposed to function, which means having good memory, making proper decision-making ability, the mind working fast, and all the mental and intellectual capabilities, whereas emotional wellness is more like your emotional state of being. Like what are the majority of times of the day that you feel good about yourself or your life or feel at peace and relaxed. That is a measure of emotional wellness. But yes, mental health, physical health, emotional health, they affect each other.
And I believe emotional wellness is a part of mental health, right?
Yeah, they are interrelated. They affect each other.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so like how is emotional wellness relevant in the workplace scenario?
At work, it is super important. I think most people don't get the point of why we are even discussing about emotional wellness is they don't understand how it benefits them or how it affects them. So I got some stats actually from the Mental Health America. Depression is costlier than heart disease or AIDS in US economy, costing over 51 billion in absenteeism and lost productivity, and 26 billion in treatment cost. And as per the Anxiety and Depression Association of America, 72% of people who have daily stress and anxiety say it interferes with their lives. 51% reported it affects relationships with the co-workers and peers. 56% said it affects workplace performance and quality of work. 43% said it affected the relationship with their superiors. And because of all these things that people go through, what they don't realize is they develop various coping mechanisms like alcoholism, shopaholism, workaholism, overeating, addictions. These are all coping mechanisms because nobody has told people how to cope with the stresses that they are dealing with. So yes, emotional wellness affects productivity, self-esteem, performance, attrition rate. Because if we don't feel good, we'll not be able to put our focus on our work properly. It gets very easy to get demotivated. It feels very easy to not belong or feel underappreciated. And that affects our performance. Eventually, if people are not happy at work, then they'll leave, which leads to higher attrition rate. So emotional wellness has everything to do with workplace productivity.
And what are the factors that affect emotional wellness in an individual? Maybe the negative factors mostly.
There are so many negative factors. There are multiple surveys done on it. Some of the factors that I can think from top of my mind are not feeling appreciated, not getting what you want, whether in a smaller level or a larger level, workplace politics, not being heard, not being included. Then sometimes there are workplace bullying. There are sometimes I've heard reports of discriminations. Sometimes it could be sudden changes to one's roles or teams or teammates. So there could be multiple factors that can affect a person's emotional wellness. And what matters is how well they are able to cope with it. Do they know the correct ways to deal with it?
And I believe amidst people are mostly involved in maintaining a fit body and everything related to physical wellness, that emotional wellness often gets overlooked, right? People don't really bother working towards a good mental health or having a good emotional wellness, but people are mostly occupied with working for their bodies to maintain a fit body.
Yeah, so I have seen people take great interest in going to the gym and maintaining a good diet and taking care of their body. But I think it's mostly because most people don't have any awareness, one, as to how to have emotional wellness. And second is how it even benefits them and why do they even need them. Most people think it's not even important, why it bother. So I'll tell you a story of one of my clients who came to me and said that he's not able to focus on his work. No matter, not just in work, but also at home. Whenever he's trying to focus on something, all the things that he has heard in the past would come up, like somebody may have taunted him, somebody or his wife said that criticized him or that he could do it better, and all those things would come up during the time when he was trying to focus, and because of which the time taken for him to do certain tasks doubled or tripled. And he was getting very frustrated with him. He has tried so many things of optimizing his work by removing distractions, signing up from Facebook, not using social media and whatnot. So after talking with him, I realized that he is not processing his emotions. Like when he is feeling hurt during those circumstances, he's not really spending time processing what just happened. And understanding and acknowledging and validating the emotional disturbance that he's feeling, which is why whenever he's trying to focus those emotions which are unaddressed and unprocessed, they are coming up for attention. And we are human beings, we are not machines, right? So if we keep on avoiding, neglecting, or suppressing our painful feelings, they don't go away anywhere. They would come and haunt you. So that is what was happening. He was not spending any time processing all those emotions. And my advice to him was to process those emotions. So this is how it's affecting people's productivity at work. And this is how people are not aware of how to integrate emotional wellness also into their daily routine just as much as they do for their physical wellness.
Like addressing the emotions is the first important thing, right? Like when we are dealing with something.
Yeah, that is the most important thing.
Even I have a friend who has been clinically depressed from the past 4 years, but all this time he was just trying to he was just trying to be distracted from whatever he was feeling, whatever he was going.
Exactly.
But he was just jumping from one job to another and was just trying to find out whatever he liked to do the best. And then recently, when he had nothing else to do, when he could find nothing, he consulted a psychologist, and then he came to know that he was suffering from depression. So it's been such a long time.
It is not easy to detect.
Exactly. So he, amidst all the distractions, he was trying to find how to cope up. So, but at the end of the day, he had to succumb to it.
I think he did a great thing by seeking a psychiatrist or a therapist, because that is when the healing begins. That is when things will become all right, because he'll discover his negative thinking patterns, the things that trigger him, his negative limiting beliefs, and he's going to work on them and get out of it. So that is the start of the healing process, and that's a great thing he did.
Yes, exactly. So now, he is under medication, he is consulting the psychiatrist every now and then for counseling and everything. So now he is getting better with each day. So, when we are talking about emotional wellness, and how do we identify if a person is emotionally well? What are the indicators of emotional wellness?
So, I thought of making it 7 points. So, after thinking through and gathering all the data, these are the best indicators of emotional wellness. One is you feel energized for the day. Meaning you feel that yes, I want to take on whatever comes. You have a can-do attitude. Some days may not feel that way, and that is okay, but majority of the days you feel energized for the day, because this feeling of energization has to do with serotonin release in the brain, which is a happiness hormone. So that is one of the indicators of emotional wellness. So these 7 points that I'm mentioning, it's not like you have to have all 7 of them. You could have a combination of 2 to 3, but having at least 2 to 3 of these indicators means that you are doing emotionally well. And of course, you could do better. So I'll move on to point 2, which is feeling grateful for the little or big things that you have in your present life. Appreciating the things that is there within you, because the state of appreciation or gratefulness makes us have faith about our future and even our present circumstances, and that affects the way we behave, we talk, we think, and interact with people. So if people feel more grateful or appreciative of things more often, that is also a sign of good emotional wellness state. Third is whenever some difficult, upsetting situation happens, or some unexpected changes happen, people who are emotionally balanced or resilient, they will not get affected that much. So I'll give you an example. 2 days back, I read news where Captain Monica landed a Patna to Delhi flight. She had to land it in emergency because a bird had hit one of the plane's engine. So she was flying with only one engine, and she safely landed 185 passengers by keeping a calm and cool head. Now, do you think she would have been able to land the flight if she panicked?
No,
or
not at
if
all.
she was scared or like not knowing what to do, she wouldn't have. So maintaining the calm even in such a challenging situation is not easy, and that's a sign of emotional wellness. So moving to the fourth point, sometimes even so we are human beings, we are not like infallible. So sometimes when you do feel upset, that is all right. But a person who has a better quality of emotional wellness would be able to come out of a painful or a traumatic or a sad incident much faster as compared to other people. So there was this great talk by Eric Edmeades, founder of WildFit, on the hindsight window, where he talks about like all of us have regrets for whatever has happened in the past, but some people get stuck into it for years and they are not able to get over it. Sometimes people brood over the same thing over days, months, weeks. So having a good emotional wellness is an ability to bounce back into a positive state despite having feeling that way much faster and in a better way. So what these people do is they look at a negative event with and try to find out what is that one positive thing that happened because of that negative event. They start looking at a negative event from a positive perspective. In fact, I have an entire series of video on just reframing negative events on through positive lens on my Instagram profile, A Better Living. So that is also another way of measuring how much emotional wellness a person has. Then the fifth point is if a person experiences a peaceful, calm, relaxed state for longer periods of time throughout the day. Now, most of us think that happiness and joy are the end goals. That if you're happy, then that means that you're doing good. But that's actually not true. The actual state a person is, which one person will be comfortable at, is a peaceful, inner, calm, relaxed state where they can just be themselves without pretending somebody else or without being anxious or without feeling any kind of tension within them, where they are just being relaxed and at peace with themselves. That is also another sign of emotional wellness. Then the next would be the sixth point is people who practice emotional wellness can easily enter into a state of flow when they are working on something. It could be anything. So what do I mean by state of flow? Meaning when you start doing something, you get so immersed in it and you enjoy it so thoroughly that you forget how much time it has passed. So you might be spending 1 or 2 hours, but it seems like 5 minutes. So that is a state of flow, which is kind of a meditation where you are in a state of thoughtlessness and you are simply doing things. You are not thinking anything and you are simply immersed in whatever you are doing. So that is an excellent state to be. And there are a lot of TED Talks by Adam Grant on that also. So that is also a sign that you have enough emotional wellness in you to be able to enter that state, because people who have unprocessed emotions will keep getting distracted, will keep having their focus disturbed.
Yes.
Then, So, and the last point is like a person who is emotionally well will not feel any kind of negative emotions for longer periods of time. Negative emotions like sadness, regret, criticism, resentful, disgust, anger, any kind of negative emotion, they won't feel it for way long. Like they might feel like that for 5 minutes and then they'll get over it. Or maybe they'll feel it for half an hour and then get over it. I have seen people who have been resentful for years. Whenever some topic comes up, they'll become grudging, resentful, they'll just explode, react. So emotionally balanced and person who has emotional wellness, even though they do feel negative emotions, they are able to move on. They are able to not stay in that state for longer periods of time. So these are the 7 signs that a person is doing emotionally well.
So for a person to be emotionally well, does he or she has to have all this like 7 indicators, for example?
No, not all 7. So like I said, it could be a combination of 2 or 3 of them. So I just wanted to give an overview as to all of these are indicators, and any person who's experiencing at least 2 to 3 of them on a daily basis means they are doing emotionally well. You don't have to have all 7. Those are the complete list of the ways where you can measure whether a person is having emotional wellness or not.
Even I will think from next time whether I have all 7 or 2 or 3 of them. Because sometimes certain things happen when I also snap and explode when I give reactions like that. So now I also have to think whether I am emotionally well or not.
No, it doesn't make you emotionally unwell if you snap. What matters is how quickly you are able to bounce back from that, and what insight do you gain about yourself. Why did you snap? And what was the trigger? And whether it was worth being angry at that time, and what can you do? What's one positive thing that can happen because of the negative whatever event that made you snap happened. So I mean, there are very interesting stories I have, but because we are limited on time, I will not be able to go much into this into much details about this, but yeah.
So now let's talk about corporate wellness programs. So what is your view on wellness programs, and how do you think they can help promote emotional wellness?
I think corporate wellness programs are great. We have come so far that we have started taking care of our employees' physical health. What I've noticed is most corporate wellness programs have a lot of things going on to maintain the physical health, like walking 10,000 steps or making sure people drink water or sleep enough. And some of them even have preventive healthcare checkups. I think what would make these programs complete is when they have a dedicated module for emotional health also, or mental health also. That would complete the program. So a lot of people are really not sure what are the things that could really help mental health. So I thought of some suggestions. I think the most common and known ones are meditations. So if there could be guided or group meditations in corporate wellness programs, or a simple workshop where people are taught as to how to manage difficult circumstances and their emotions, most importantly, or practice emotional vipassana, where they know how to acknowledge and validate the frustrations they are feeling instead of running away or distracting from them. And gratefulness exercises, being grateful about the things you have in your life currently, or reminders of the positive, journaling your emotions, or even one-on-one counseling services, or encouraging employees to take breaks often. So these are like some of the ideas I had, but there could be so many more things that could be done to ensure emotional wellness that can be incorporated in corporate wellness programs as well.
Even I think having a mental day off will also come in handy, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Not just one day, maybe a week.
It's a mental health week off. Yes, I believe.
Actually, we used to have that in. In my last organization at ACO General Insurance, we didn't have a mental health week off, but we had 1 week off for various occasions, and those were very refreshing. Those were like awesome, amazing. So yeah.
That's really great. Like, I do not know of many organizations who actually provide mental health day or similar things like that.
Yeah, they should actually because we are even if you understand from a scientific perspective, the brain enters the gamma state, which is the focus state, and it cannot sustain the gamma state for long. People need breaks. So I don't know if you have heard of the Pomodoro technique, where you take 5 minutes break between after every 20 minutes of focus work.
Yes,
similarly, if we are constantly in the state of productivity, it actually burns us out. The brain needs break. and so does our emotions. We need variety. We need to walk around a little bit instead of sitting in one place for too long, and these things are important. So I'm glad that people are becoming more and more aware of these things. So yeah.
With this, we come to the end of the session. So do you have valuable suggestions, like any other valuable suggestions for our listeners?
Yes. Before I even go to the suggestion, I wanted to quote one statement and some facts that I gathered. So emotional wellness is directly impacted by work culture. As HRs and managers, we need to be more empathetic and understand where people are coming from. We should be able to garner more an environment of trust, so that people can share whatever they are feeling without feeling nervous or fearful about it. So again, quoting some stats from Anxiety and Depression Association of America, 79% of men report that the workplace stress is affecting their personal relationships with spouse even more than women. 34% of them fear that if they complain, it would be interpreted as a lack of interest or unwillingness to do some work. 31% are afraid that they will be labeled as weak. 22% were afraid that it would affect their promotion. And 20% think that it won't be even taken seriously. So just imagine if we don't even cultivate a culture of safety where people can voice their opinions and actually state the problems, then people will never know. The managers or the HRs will never know that there is a problem because nobody complains. They think everything is going hunky-dory because there is no trust in the environment. So I highlighted a few pointers as to what could be an example of a good work culture. And this is not exhaustive list. These are some of the things that I have noticed in my 14 years of corporate life. And these are my personal suggestions, and it could be different for different companies. So some of the indicators of a good work culture is nobody in any of the teams are overworking or getting burned out. That is one indicator. Second is people can voice their opinions freely without feeling afraid or without feeling there would be any retaliation. Then it indicates a culture of safety and trust. Then people get what they want when they are placing a request. They don't feel anxious or they don't feel that they have to manipulate somebody to get what they want. Their needs are being met. Then there are enough team play and engagement and a feeling of belonging and appreciation in the workplace. That is, I think, the most common thing that comes up in my sessions, where people don't feel that they belong in their workplace despite being the top performer. So encouraging a team belonging and appreciation culture is also, I think, responsibilities of any organization. And overall, my closing point would be a positive work culture means having a common theme of trust where people can just be themselves. This is something I've hardly seen in many places happen. But this is the ideal scenario where we should be heading together as employees and even managers, because that would foster really good working environment where people will be happy, productive, with low attrition rate and much better performance.
Like having a good manager and a supportive manager is very important, because only then employees will be able to confide in them or open up, right? Otherwise, even if they are dealing with some sort of stress or mental health issues, they will not be willing to open up to their managers, right? In the fear of not being fully understood or similar things.
Empathy and understanding, these are the two things that is like the crucial points in a leader that they should inculcate in themselves.
So thank you so much, Moumita, for joining us today. We had a great time.
Thanks a lot, Ripshi. Yeah, we had a very interesting conversation.
And like,
Yeah.
I hope that we can connect sometime, like, to hear your stories as well. The
Sure.
ones we could not hear today because of our limited time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And the entire
Yeah.
session was very insightful, even to me, and I'm sure for all our listeners as well. So thank you so much, and have a great day ahead.
Yeah, you too. It was great talking to you. And thanks, Vantage Fit and Vantage Circle, for inviting me. Thank you and bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Vantage Fit Corporate Wellness Podcast. Please do subscribe to Vantage Fit Corporate Wellness Podcast on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and our YouTube channel for new episodes.